Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another reading vlog where I'm gonna be reading Children of Time. So, Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky is book 1 in the Children of Time series, and book 3 is actually gonna be coming out at the end of this year, I think. And I've just seen so overwhelmingly good reviews about this book this series, like book 1 and 2, and it got me very excited to read it. And it's science fiction, which I also love. So yeah, we're finally here to read this. And I just want to say that there are definitely spoilers for what happens in this book, in this reading vlog. And having said that, let's just get into it. Okay, so I am on page 201, and this book is really good, but also it's really complex. Like, the plot and the science behind the plot is really, a lot. And I was really confused in the beginning, but then I started to understand things, and yeah, things actually do make sense. So we start this book following a scientist who is Dr. Avrana Kern, and she is basically explaining her experiments. And her experiment includes monkeys and a nanovirus. And that nanovirus is supposed to infect the monkeys, and it will mutate them. And basically they will have a bigger brain, they will have a bigger brain capacity, they will have bigger bodies, they will change their behaviors, they will be better at learning, like they will learn fast. And yeah, basically they will evolve way more rapidly than they would normally, than they would ever probably. And with each generation, they will be getting more and more evolved. And then we also see that before the experiment actually really begins, there is sort of an accident. And because it was supposed to take place in a planet that has been prepared to have sort of the same conditions as Earth. And there is that accident, and the monkeys are lost. And also, Dr. Kern herself has sort of an accident too, and she is in the satellite that's supposed to control the experiments. And she is stuck there with no one to get her, and so she knows that she needs to go to sleep. And before she does that, she uploads her consciousness into the ship, and they sort of merge. And she'll just wait for someone to go get her, or for the experiments to reach another phase. And after that initial part with Dr. Kern, we follow two main storylines. And one of them is actually in that planet, and another one is in space somewhere, in various places. And they're told simultaneously. We get one chapter of one storyline and then chapter of the other storyline, and so on. But I'm going to go through them separately because I think it's easier for me and for anyone to understand. And so the first storyline I'm going to talk about is in that planet. So I said the monkeys were lost, and they were, but the nanovirus actually got to the planet. And it was supposed to be rejected by any other vertebrates in the planet that the monkeys could interact with, so only the monkeys would evolve and not the other animals around. But it was never prepared any sort of failsafe for the invertebrates. So those invertebrates that do get the nanovirus evolve. And so the main invertebrates that we follow are spiders. And the main character we follow from the spiders is called Portia. And we have Portia, Bianca, Fabian, and Viola are like names that repeat for the spider characters throughout the generations. There was like a new Portia or a new Bianca, whatever. But the main character, at least so far, is Portia. And so we get to see how the spiders have been mutating throughout some generations and how their societies work, because there are many different spider societies. And Portia's community finds another community, and they actually work with ants, sort of in a way, and Portia is actually interested in that. And then Portia enters a temple, sort of a temple for the ants, because the ants have also been evolving. Even though we follow mostly the spiders, the ants have also been evolving. And Portia enters one of their temples, and she steals what she calls the eye of their god. And that's basically where they're getting messages from God. And God is actually Dr. Kern, like the satellite that has been sending messages down to the planet. And then some generations pass, and there is a war brewing between several spider communities, and we see their strategies for the war and also like their chemical advancements, and it's just very interesting. And also they learn that, they hear through the eye of the god, whatever thing, that the messenger has been speaking to someone. And this is where I'm gonna be switching to the other storyline, the one of the humans that are out in space. And I think main character, at least it feels like a main character of the humans to me, he's called Holston. And they are in a ship, and we get to know Holston and his crew, and they get a signal of a distress beacon that is like very, very far away. And so they have also been like cryo-sleeping for... My foot is cramping. They have been cryo-sleeping for a very long time, centuries, and they get that signal of the distress beacon, and they see that it's very far away, so they go to sleep again until they get there. And they also notice that that satellite is not only like sending the distress beacon signal, it's also communicating with a planet near it. And when they do get there, near the satellite, they communicate with, I guess it's sort of a hybrid between Dr. Kern's consciousness and also the, artificial intelligence of the satellite. And it's very creepy. And also, Dr. Kern has the biggest god complex I've ever witnessed. And basically, she tells the humans that they cannot go down to her planet because it's only for her experiment and no one is allowed there, and they would just ruin everything for her, and they don't matter. She doesn't care about humans. And we get to see basically the history of the human race and like what has happened to all the humans apart from those like Holston and his crew. And yeah, basically they are told that they have to get away from there. And so they do go away again, and more generations pass. Not generations really, like the time of generations, because again, they go into sleep. And when they wake up, they get into some trouble. And so they escape that trouble and they go back to Kern's planet, because like I said, it's supposed to be like, it was prepared to be sort of like Earth, so it's a place that they could live in. And so they go there again, and Dr. Kern tries to stop them again, but this time she can't, and they are preparing to go down. And that is where I'm at. And like I said, it took me a while to understand what was happening and like how things worked and what people were doing, why they were doing them, where they were, and how and why, and like all of that. It took me a while, but once I actually understood what was happening or sort of understood what was happening, it's actually very, very interesting. And I never thought I would be this interested and invested in a community of spiders, but here we are, here I am, and I'm so interested in getting to know like how their society works and like how they mutated, their advancements, their relationships, just their religion that started after they found the Eye of the God. It's just so interesting to me. And I can say with 100% certainty that I'm way more interested in the spiders than in the humans. And like the science of this book is like, it's definitely a stretch, but it's explained in the way that like you can understand how it would work and that it could work. And I find that very interesting, and the plot line itself also very interesting. The world building is incredible, like with the spiders, the whole world and communities they have built is just phenomenal as well. And the pacing I'm also really enjoying because it takes the time it needs to explain everything in like a certain level of detail. So it's not like very fast, but it's also not like slow. And it's just the perfect pacing for the story, in my opinion. And like I have said a few times already, I am loving this book and I cannot wait to keep reading. Okay, so I bought a ring light, like a small ring light, but ring lights don't work with glasses because like the light is oh my god. Because the light is reflected on the glasses. So I'm double blind right now because I don't have my glasses and also I have this very strong light in my face. But yeah, anyway, also I'm using the ring light because it's literally midnight, so there's obviously no sun. I procrastinate and I had the whole day to film this clip, like literally did nothing the whole day, but I didn't film it and now here we are at midnight. But anyway, I got to page 419 of the book, and I think that when I finished my first update, I said that the humans were getting ready to go down into the planet where the spiders live. And so they did go down, but the spiders obviously see something coming into the planet, and they use an army of ants to attack the humans. Now, let's keep in mind that an army of ants would be, scary anyway, but these are mutated, really big ants. So they attack and they bite the humans and they just start a huge mess inside the ship. And the humans basically run off the planet. And after that, they go their separate ways again. And once again, I'm going to tell the two stories separately, even though they are told kind of simultaneously. But with the spiders, like after that, generations pass after the humans ran away from the planet. More generations pass, and the generation at that time of the spiders is suffering from a plague. And like obviously a lot of spiders are dying and they're trying to figure out how to stop it. And then they find that a colony of spiders is resistant to the plague. It's immune. So they take those spiders and they don't say like that it's a gene or whatever, but I'm guessing it's sort of a gene that gives them that immunity. And so they are able to use that to give immunity to most of the spiders. And also, while they were finding that gene or whatever, they also find the gene of the nanovirus, like what led to their mutations. And that is incredible, especially for, spiders. And while all of that plague is going on, they are, like, before they solve it, they are obviously desperate. And they wonder why their god would do that to them. And they really are, like, obsessing with trying to send a message back to the god or messenger, which is what they call it. And they actually manage to do it. And then a long time passes again, more generations. And after all those generations pass of them trying to communicate with the messenger, a lot of spiders stop believing in the messenger like as a god. They see it as what it is, which is just a piece of metal in the sky. And there are a lot of changes in their society. And also there were a lot of interesting changes in, like, during the plague, because the societies of the spiders was like only the females had like positions of power, and the males basically like did whatever the females wanted them to do, like the hard labor.
Really quickly, I just want to say that I meant to explain this, but somehow I forgot. But like the species of spiders that those mutated spiders derived from, like they exist in real life, and they are, like the females are very aggressive, and they tend to eat the males after mating. So that's just how those spiders already worked. Like that was their starting point. It's not like the nanovirus made them that way. Like that's how the spiders already are, and then they change from that.
And during the plague, that changed because a lot of spiders were dying, including females. So that changed, and after, like, at this time when they're starting to not believe in the messenger, a lot of more changes in the society happened, and like that's happening very slowly. But you know, societies do change slowly, but they do finally start to change, which I'm glad for. And I did say that Kern had the biggest god complex I had ever witnessed, but it got even bigger or worse. And I guess it's even worse because, like, even though some of the spiders, like a lot of them, are not believing in the god as much, there are also a lot of spiders who still believe in the god and like are really trying really hard to communicate with the god. So yeah, that's just makes everything worse for Kern's god complex. And in terms of the humans, after they fled from that planet of the spiders, they get to another planet, but it's not a planet that they can inhabit, which they were not expecting, but that happens. And then one of the guys from the crew, I think his name is Guyan, he wants to upload himself into the ship, which is called Gilgamesh. He wants to upload himself into the ship because he wants to just command forever, you know, like he wants to be immortal and to just command. But the ship is very old, like they have been in that ship for centuries. And one of the experts says that the ship would not handle that and it would malfunction. And they do go to sleep for a very long time again. And when Holston wakes up, he's met with a cult that follows Guyan. And like Guyan himself has been waking up and going back to sleep like on and off during this whole time while he tries to figure out a way to upload himself into the ship. And those people from the cult have basically they have not been sleeping like Holston and some of the rest of the crew. They have been really people who woke up and then had other generations and people who were born again, and they were just born believing that he was sort of like a prophet, a god, whatever, something. And so they are obsessed with also getting Guyan into the ship. Holston and some people that he trusts decide that they are going back to Kern's planet because they cannot find another planet that would be survivable for humans. So they decide to go there, but while they are trying to go and trying to just stop the people from the cult, Guyan manages to upload himself into the ship, which, like I said before, is not a good thing because the ship will not handle that and will malfunction. On the satellite, Kern and her hybrid consciousness thing is wondering why the hell the monkeys are taking so long to get to the point where they would need to be for the next phase of her master plan. because she doesn't remember that the monkeys were lost. She thinks that the nanovirus is working on the monkeys. And yeah, she's wondering like, why are they taking so much longer to develop than she thought they would? And then it's because it's not monkeys, it's spiders. And the last thing I read is that she sees that the Gilgamesh, the ship with Holston and the others, is approaching the planet again, and she needs to warn her monkeys. And yeah, that is where I'm at, and I'm still absolutely loving this book. And again, I am way more invested in the spiders and their lives and the changes in their societies and in their, like, in them themselves, physically, mentally, their advancements. I'm way more interested in all of that than in the plotline of the humans. Also, I don't know if I've said this already, but I really don't like Kern. I mean, I know that I've said that she has a huge god complex, but it's not just that, I don't like her at all. And it's not just her fractured mind with, like, hybrid with the satellite. It's just, like, before any of that happened, like in the first chapter, I already didn't like her. So yeah, I really dislike that character. And yeah, like, from the where this seems to be going, I cannot wait for the humans to get back there and to go down into the planet, because I cannot wait for the confrontation that I think is gonna happen. And yeah, I'm very excited, and in terms of the plot and the pacing, I am still absolutely loving this, and yeah, I just cannot wait to finish this book. Okay, so I have finished the book. And after my last update, the first thing that happened was that Dr. Kern has sort of a longer conversation with the spiders. And she finally realizes or remembers that the monkeys were lost. And those creatures down there are not her monkeys, they're spiders. And at first, she's kind of disgusted with what she created, but then she realizes that they are her creations, and her, with her huge god complex, wants to just be their god, whatever they are. Monkeys, spiders, doesn't really matter. And so she just accepts them as her creations. So in terms of the humans, more generations pass, and this time, actually, generations do pass, because the suspension chambers, I think that's what they call them, like the places they sleep in, have been failing. And so people had to wake up, like a lot of them, and they have been having children and grandchildren, and people have been dying and living and whatever. And Holston actually has been asleep for this whole time, but his suspension chamber also is malfunctioning, and so they wake him up. And after the other guy uploaded himself into the ship, just like they were warned, the ship started malfunctioning. And also, the ship is just very old, and it's just, it's running out of time. And so they are going back to Kern's planet, because they could never find another planet where they could live. So they are going there, and they're deciding that whatever happens, whatever we're allowed to go down there or not, we're gonna go anyway, and if we have to, we'll just kill everything. Now, in terms of the spiders, they have been advancing even more in their technologies, and they are able to build a satellite, and they put that satellite in the sky, and now they see that it's not only their god up there, there is something else coming, and that's the humans in the Gilgamesh. And when the Gilgamesh gets closer, they send signals to them to warn them to stay away, because they don't want to fight. They don't want to have the humans invading them and having to fight and lose their home possibly. So they just warn them to stay away. But like I said, the humans never found another place they could live in, and the ship is just getting destroyed. So they also don't have a choice, and they just ignore the warnings. And so the humans keep getting closer to the planet, and the spiders go out into space, and there is a fight between the humans and the spiders. And there are a bunch of losses on both sides, but the spiders actually manage to get the upper hand, and they swarm the Gilgamesh, and they sort of inject their chemical biological weapon into the air system of the Gilgamesh. And so all the humans are affected by it. And they have previously tested that thing in other animals. I think they said it was mice. I might be wrong though, but I think that's what they said, because they think humans are a lot like mice. So they have tested it, and it had given them the results they wanted. So, they obviously couldn't be sure it would work as well in humans, but it was a theory, so they used it. And so what they used was, when they isolated the genome of the nanovirus, they were able to, from the whole genome, they were able to isolate the part that made them form a community, that made them see each other as the same, someone similar to themselves. And so they used that part of the nanovirus genome on the humans to make the humans see the spiders and themselves as one community. Because what Dr. Kern advised them to do was actually not that. And also they thankfully don't see Dr. Kern as their god anymore, so they just, didn't really care about what she was saying. But what she wanted was for them to kill all the humans. And what the humans wanted was to kill all the spiders. So it's obvious that the humans suck, and the spiders actually found a way to just work together with the humans. So we love to see it. And we all know that humans suck, so, nothing new here. And yeah, that actually worked. And the humans and the spiders started working together and built a sort of hybrid community. And after that, at the very end, more generations have passed of humans and spiders living on that Earth 2.0, and they have built an exploratory spaceship, and they are actually going on it because they received a signal from a beacon somewhere out in space. And that is how the book ended. And I just absolutely loved this so much, and the ending got me really excited for book 2. And I think I'm just gonna go into my final thoughts, because I don't want to be repeating myself a bunch of times about what I thought. So yeah, let's just go. So starting with the characters, I said this a couple of times before, but I was just always way more interested in the spiders than in the humans. And it's not that I didn't like the humans, they weren't bad. They were just, they were human, they were familiar, how humans work. But having said that, I did like especially 2 of them, Holston and Elaine, and I did definitely like to see their relationships and how they evolved over time, even though for most of the time they were asleep. But there was a time where some of them weren't asleep and others weren't, so some of them aged and others didn't. And it was definitely always interesting to see how the dynamics between them changed with all of that. So it's not like I didn't like the human part, I just thought it was more interesting to learn about the spiders, because they were just very different. And I think I also mentioned, there were always spiders with the same names in different generations. There was always a Portia, there was always a Bianca, a Fabian, and sometimes we also heard about a Viola. So they always had the same names, Portia being the main one, but they were always different. Their personalities were always different, so there were many different Porsches, and it was always interesting to get to know those new Porsches and those new Fabians and those new Biancas. It was always really fun to get to know just a bunch of new characters and also to just learn about their society and how it worked. And it was just mind-blowing to see their technological advancements, not only because it was just mind-blowing because they were spiders, but also because they just thought in a very different way when compared to humans. So that was also really cool to see. And like I said, the world building in this book was incredible, and the explanations for the science and technology were also like really good. You could understand it was explained in a way that it could make sense. So I also loved that. And in terms of the pacing, it was mostly perfect for me. There was like one time where I wanted it to move a little bit faster, but the rest was just really good because it was slow enough to have things explained properly and to have all the changes explained from one generation to another, and between these spiders and the humans. But at the same time, it was, it had enough action to keep me interested the whole time. And so I absolutely loved this book. I definitely recommend reading it. And I gave it 4.5 stars. And having said all that, I think this is everything for this week's video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, give it a like and subscribe. And I will talk to you next time. Bye!